Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 115, June 18th, 2021. Healing After Childbirth with Belli Binding, a Loving Postpartum Ritual into Motherhood. What is belly binding? How does it support mother after childbirth? How can supporting the body and spirit postpartum guide the healing journey? What other beautiful ways assist the sacred months after birth? I'm really excited about this conversation and connection, and this is, I'll do her official intro in a moment, but it's Princess. Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I was like, I hear the voice, that you're here. I want to say we connected, like I say many moons ago, because I kind of remember this moment, sitting in my healing room in Topanga, no children, right, connecting with her baby beings, and they are here in Earth Body. And it's so incredible to, maybe we'll even talk about that later, because I'm so curious, and so I know Princess, and she's so many amazing things. We'll start with birth worker, and I know that her work has just blossomed into something so big and powerful. And I consider her, I guess I feel like it was almost 10 years ago. She's skilled, educated, spiritually heart connected. She's deep in this work for mothers, for fathers, for children, and so many levels. That's how I see you. It's interesting how other people may see you, right? Yeah.
I love it.
So,
yes, it resonates.
Yeah. So, Princess, I'm going to say it wrong again. See, I said it. Say it for me.
Istasha.
Princess Istasha McKinney-Kirk is a mompreneur, postpartum doula, and early parenting educator. She has 2 beautifully spirited kids and a girl and a boy, and an amazing husband. Princess is the owner and founder of Belli Bind, a postpartum rapid recovery experience supporting moms worldwide. She's a natural-born connector and professional healer dedicated to the care of birthing families. Princess believes in finding the overlap between self-care and caring for your baby, because it's in the overlap where healing, connection, and peace can happen. Yay. Thank you, Princess, for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kelly.
And your website's gorgeous, by the way. I love all these. I love this, the sexiness of belly binding. It's just a beautiful way to bring that in. And it's because postpartum is so intense, right? And you're bringing in this self-care, this love. But I'd love to share, I want to go over, for the audience, what is belly binding and what's that connection and experience? But I do have to tell you, maybe you can give me insight on this, is that I tried to do a belly. It wasn't done properly afterwards, because I was trying to do it myself, but maybe I didn't do it right. But I was given an ace bandage. But it was
interesting. And Kelly,
and uncomfortable. Yeah.
The audio cut out on a little, and I don't know if it was me on my end only, but I got only the tail end of that.
Oh, no, I was saying that my own experience maybe that's the piece you got. My own experience in belly binding, through my own body, was when I tried to do it with after the second birth, and I don't know if it's do I need it, do I not need it, but the midwife's here. It was ace bandage or something, but it was itchy, and it kept it was coming off, and there was no I don't know if I had that option or opportunity. I didn't really know, but I was I thought that would be really nice, because I felt like my belly's just filling, this empty shell, is kind of spilling out. But I would love to hear, what is belly binding, and maybe just, some curiosity around that.
Lot of,
thank you.
I hear this similar story from a lot of women and clients who either are birthing at a hospital or birth midwives, and it's kind of their go-to, here, take this ace bandage, because it's quick and convenient. But I understand, one, going through it myself, that empty womb sensation, you know, and it really is odd feeling going from this full, vibrant womb with a life within you, you know, and then you birth that beautiful life, and now this belly that you used to rub all the time and feel those kicks is empty. And so it's a grieving process, I've had clients say, but also it's just like the sensations are different and you are having to navigate that newness. So what I often refer to Belli Bind as is a hug, a very supportive hug. It feels like you're being held and embraced by a loved one, and it is ultra supportive. And with belly binding, it's one of those practices that cultures around the world have really done for centuries and, you know, across many continents. So the methods look different, but the end result is the womb is hugged and supported and wrapped in many layers. So the particular style that I initially learned and practice is the Bangkung belly binding method, which is a Malay practice postpartum. And the benefits are very much the same as other cultures who practice either like Latin America, fajas, or a Japanese culture where they wear the sari wraps, is to bring warmth back to the womb space and to help promote, in bringing that warmth, more circulation, more oxygen to those healing tissues and organs, as well as, you know, being a container to just hold the woman and the womb space, and also posture support. So there's so many benefits to it. But like you said, being comfortable, it plays a factor. And if you're putting something on your body, on your womb space that's uncomfortable, the likelihood of you sticking to wearing it is very short-lived. So I also love that the belly bind that we provide our clients is custom fitted to your body, and it's ultra comfortable fabric. Yeah, it's amazing.
I know. I want to go have a baby just so you can bind me. That ship is sailed.
I've got you know, grandmothers, and they've been like, wow, oh my gosh, like this feels really great, even though I haven't had a baby like in 20, 30 years. So it kind of goes into that territory of the bone closing ceremony that a lot of Latin American cultures do, where after 40 days they wrap you in all these rebozos and close all your bones and just hug you and feel your open state from pregnancy into a closed state. So it's still very powerful even 10, 20 years after.
So what do you do? Yeah, I have so many questions swimming through my head because I'm like, the way you said
Where
that, it was so dreamy. Yeah, no, only because you're so empathic. You're such I'm like enchanted by your voice. And I'm going, I want to be wrapped and hugged. Yeah, I was like, I want to be hugged. And so I'm like, yeah, you're making me like tune into my stomach right now. So I'm going, like I love that you have a personal fitting. So what if you're like in another state or somewhere else? Do you get measurements and then ship it out, or how does that work?
Great question. I've been doing this for 9 years. I was among the first practitioners in the West to provide this service. And in doing it for so long, I know just based off of what your current pregnancy weight is, how long your wrap needs to be. So we have 2 different sizes, and I usually don't even ask, I don't even give like an option of like, do you need a W-2 or a W-1? It's mainly just let me know what your pregnancy weight is and what your pre-pregnancy weight is, and I will choose which wrap I know will fit you best. And
nice.
We're very accurate. And then as far as if you're, you know, in Saudi Arabia or Australia or just somewhere in the United States that we don't provide in-home services, we have virtual options and a virtual kit that you can order, and we do one-on-one virtual coaching, and we help you get a great custom fit done on your own. And that's just an empowering process because you're supporting your body, you're wrapping it around you with our guidance, and it just feels so good to take your recovery into your own hands.
Oh my gosh, you just totally won me even further over on that piece, because it just feels like, because I've heard of Belli Binding, I've heard about it throughout the years here and there, and obviously I attempted it in a very botched way. But I feel like a lot of the midwives and doulas, I saw your social media presence were being trained, and I think that's what it was. A lot of people maybe weren't familiar with it or what that looks like, or how it works, and so. But just that being able to take your own, like you just said, like being able to be a part of it, like it's your sacred connection, you're wrapping, and it's not just this thing that's like some orthotic or something. You know what I mean? Like you're
like
bringing
a bandage,
in, like it's, yeah, like exactly. Like there's a relationship between your body and this, right? I know, because it was itchy, it was falling off, and I was like, what am I doing? This is not working. But I'm just imagining that, like you said, it's like your little light being is now outside of you, and there's just kind of this emptiness, and it is a bit disorienting. I almost feel like it's like when you talk about it, it brings maybe a sense of centered and grounding, even back to the natural healing of your body. And I know, especially for home birthers, as I was with my second, is that, the uterus, it wants to contract back, it's like it needs to do its thing without any synthetics and stuff. And so I could imagine just even that pushing or that holding could just kind of help stimulate and connect with the organs. I don't know. This is just I'm going with
Absolutely.
it.
No, you're so right.
Okay.
It's the gentle compression that's created, opposed to what, is commercially out there as like shapewear and waist trainers. The goal is to gently compress so that it is stimulating your uterus to invulate, just like they would in a hospital, your midwives would do in those first hours after babies arrived earthside. They're going to press on your fundus, the top of your uterus, and stimulate that contraction. Well, once you have that custom-fitted belly bind on, it's a gentle compression that is stimulating that contraction and also kind of cinching the womb space as your uterus contracts and creates those abdominal cramping sensations to bring comfort to the process. And, it just is so comfortable, and it is so grounding, and that's part of our experience. The belly bind experience is, I often say, we're more than just a wrap. We are definitely going to help you physically in your recovery process, and you're going to see that with the gentle compression and the custom fitting, but we're also taking it a few layers deeper than that, and we are helping to reconnect you with your womb space that feels so foreign, and say, we're going to do a womb rub, and as we do it, I want you to tune into sensations in that womb space and any emotions that might come up, and just notice it and just bring deep reverence and gratitude to this miracle organ that's within you that just brought life earthside and formed it and shaped it in your body. And in doing that, so many of the women are like, wow, thank you. Like, have to remember that as much as I may not like the appearance of how I am right now, that I look this way because I created this life and I brought life into this world, and I do love my body for that.
I know that's the hard piece you talk about is I know the body, like the body shape, it's so voluptuous. I like these more beautiful words. It's like, oh my gosh, it's this empty sack, and then maybe you're just feeling like just tired and drained, but it's like, that's okay. That's pregnancy, and it depends on your stress level, of course. But I always I notice I put on a lot of weight with each child, and now I'm get to come shrink it down. Now it's taking me time, but to find a baseline where my body feels really comfortable, and I know it's like, oh, this voluptuousness, this milkiness even, it's so beautiful, and I feel like, we need to honor, like, oh, it's so all the sizes and, people are at, it's like, but my question about the belly binding is, so do you wear it all day? Is it for a few weeks? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so one, I just love everything that you just said about, loving those curves and embracing your body and just knowing that it is knowing that it is just a healing journey and a process, and every woman's body heals at a different pace and in a different way, right? But yeah, as far as how long you wear it, I often encourage our clients to wear it for at least 13 hours, so you're really getting that consistent, gentle compression for a good amount of time. But many of our clients are able to wear it for 35 hours till the morning of their next session, because the way our service is set up, we come every other day. So every other day we come, we, create this sanctuary in your room and do the body work and then wrap you, and then, which takes about an hour to an hour and a half, and then we leave and we come back 2 days later, and then we do it all over. So in that process, our clients will keep it on for 13 hours till the morning of their next session, and then take it off, shower, love on their womb space with oils, and then we do it all over again. But ultimately, I'm like, wear it for as long as it feels comfortable. If it feels comfortable to only wear it for 6 hours, then wear it for 6 hours. I've had a few moms who, on their last session with us, out of their package, was like, you know what, I kept it on for 3 days consecutively because it just felt so good, and I didn't want to take it off and have to redo it. So very comfortable.
I love that. I love that you go in, and you're based in California, Southern. I know I have people from all over the place. So when you do in-person stuff, you send your team out, and they love and adore. I love the massage, oiled up. And then just the instructions, like, what a beautiful addition really to postpartum, which is, I've actually interviewed a few people with postpartum in Spirit Baby Radio, and I know it's always this like last place, like, because it's like the baby's here, but then it's like, wow, the healing and repair, the restructure of not just the physical body, but of consciousness and of the emotional experience of mother or person that's kind of now has this being. And building from there. I'd love for you to talk even about something I got here from your website was the universal postpartum needs. It was nourishment. I love that. Loving touch, wise woman connection, and rest, contact with nature.
With nature,
yeah. What can you say about those?
So much goodness that you just brought up in reflection of what I said. But our team is actually, we do in-home in Arizona, Los Angeles, and Virginia now. And that team is growing nationwide. So in-home is available in those 3 states, but then also virtual worldwide. But in regards to those 5 universal postpartum needs and creating that sanctuary or that ritual for postpartum healing is so crucial, and it is really the foundation of our Belli Binding experience. And, with the nourishment, that can be on your end of creating a postpartum ritual, the food that you're putting into your body. But as far as for our in-session practice, the nourishment is the oils that we're putting on your body, and also the mindfulness practices that we do, whether it's helping you tune into your breath work and nourishing your spirit, and the meditations that we play that also help to nourish your spirit. And then the body work that we're doing is nourishing the sensory, right? And the loving touch is also doing that. We're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. We're encouraging that rest and digest with the body work, and helping with lymphatic drainage, which your body postpartum likes to hold on to a lot of fluid. And whether you were induced or had medication during your labor or not, it is processing a lot. So the lymphatic system really does need support. And so that's what that gentle body work is for, and that loving touch to help, de-stress the newly birthed person. And when it comes to the contact with nature, that's also with the oils we're using and the aromatherapy mist that we spray to help just kind of elevate those senses and connect you with the Divine Mother, right? And so that is so powerful too. And then when it comes to the wise woman connection, we really pride ourselves in creating a friendship with our clients, and that is something that's very important to me. So all of our team members are required to be postpartum doulas. There's no way you could become a belly binding specialist without being a postpartum doula. And that was important to me because a lot of the clients that initially would find us, and still even today, who seek us out, they are seeking us under the impression of, like, I want to get my body back. I want to snap back because this is what society says I need to do after I have a baby. And so they find us because of the physical element of belly binding. But then because all of our team members are postpartum doulas who provide that wise woman connection, we're coming into the home every other day, those first 2 to 6 weeks after birth, and we're able to provide guidance on newborn care and give them little tips here and there in session. If we show up and the mom's breastfeeding or, body feeding, then we can say, hey, do you need help with a latch? So we're able to help with so much more, and the clients see that too, and often by the end are just like, wow, like, I got so much more out of this experience than I even knew I was going to get. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I love some more things coming up in my mind. I love all that because I'm going, gosh, yeah, this is really incredible. And I love that you're in 3 states. And then I started having this vision like, wow, is she just going to take over a lot of states? Wouldn't that be? And I'm like sitting here going, that would be really incredible. Like, imagine postpartum with that level of care. To continue. Yeah. And then maybe you're going international at some point to train. And do they train under you? I'm just curious now.
Yes, they do train under us, and that is our vision, Kelly, is to be nationwide in-home providing these services. By the end of this year, I'm putting out there, I'm manifesting 200 team members. But right now we're at 10.
Okay, wow. Especially now, I feel like with this whole pandemic and people are at home, like they need the hugs, they need the love, they need this. More now than ever, and there's no excuses, everybody. Maybe there's people that will be tuning in that are like, hey, in my country, I'd like to see that, or my area. And, of course, we'll have your contact available to see. And I've always had this fun thing I got to share with you, and it was years ago. It was right before I really stepped into this work that I'm doing. It was probably more than 5 years ago then. And I was kind of in between pre-birth communication, spirit. I was like, and I volunteered myself for paid to be a untrained postpartum doula in my community, and it was fun. I did it for a little bit here and there, and I thought, and then I thought maybe I should go get training and make that but you have all these visions and creativity, and I'm like sign me up, but then I'm like, I want to do a million things all the time, right? I'm like, no, I got to pull back, and is that like, that's because I'm all like, I want to sign up, but I was like, okay, I have this whole other thing happening, and but I love it, and I want to see, like, I feel like your passion and your creativity. I'm like, ooh, like again, this could be really powerful to bring that, and I know even from my own experience, like 10 years ago when I had my firstborn, it was not good. The postpartum was not good at all. A lot of people know I talked about it on my other past episodes. I had more than the blues, let's just say, and but I had nobody to care for me. I had no care, and I got sick within 4 months. I got not only mastitis, but then strep throat right after. I was just like a mess. And
you had a surgical delivery, didn't you?
No, you know what I had? I had a home birth transfer, but I had second-degree tearing. Yeah, the tearing was just, I just didn't have a good resource, the right environment to take care of me through that, because that was like, I was like, now I have this baby, nobody to help me, and my vagina's ripped open. I was like, oh, God.
Right.
Oh, my gosh, the emotions were so intense, and I was like, oh, it was so challenging. And then I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just have this one kid. I'm good. And of course, then Forrest is like, knock, knock. Hello, knock, knock. And I'm like, nope, I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. And then, like, I have, a lot of psychic and medium friends, and they would just talk about it on occasion. This one woman I met, she came to me, and she looked at me, and she goes, where are your children? Like, why are you saying I have children? She goes, you do. You have another child in spirit. Like, nope, let's move on. Let's have another conversation. Because there was so much to process. Right now. Yeah, around the first. birth. There was so much process. But then I realized, okay, when I welcomed Forrest, I was 40 years old. So this is why I was like, okay, 40 doesn't mean you can't have babies. And he came quite effortlessly with no complication and no issue. And I had a lot to process during that birth. There was a lot of emotion, but I loved my midwife team. They were like my therapists, and they said, it's okay, Kelly, like you can, my doula / Tasha was an apprentice at the time, was at my birth. And she, now she's a midwife. She's like, I don't really have to doula you. I was like, oh, that's good. But she was like, I'll never forget what she said to me was, all this crying, all this emotion, you're just not bringing it to the birth. And it was like so powerful. It was so simple. But she was right because the birth was incredible because I had all this stuff and it was like coming out. And then my postpartum the second time was night and day. It was gorgeous. It was full of love. I went right from living room to bed, and all my saints, I call them my saints around me, were just taking care of me. I was like, yes. Oh, wow. And then the belly binding just would add to that. Then I get to sit in my bed with my little bit, and then with the window open, I could see the trees, and it was he was born in the summer, as your little one was, and so
beautiful,
it was
right?
like, you I feel like you've brought some poetry out of me in this connection, but I loved it when you said the belly bind creates that lymphatic connection. I was like, yeah, that's what I really needed. Like just even that alone to trust the system, because I know when I do a lot of nervous system work now, and so I'm going, the nervous system, when it's in this alignment and it feels like it's not in freeze or flight, it's just in a self-cared space and it's being listened to, it's like powerful. And so I could see how that external resource can add to that internal resource. And so I love it. I'm all like, and that's what I wanted to
add with you sharing and, with your community already knowing so in depth your story too. And knowing that everyone has a different birth experience, right? So there's clients that we support that have a very traumatic experience, and them having us coming and doing the belly bind experience for them is that one good thing out of their birth experience. Or their journey, that they're like, I'm so glad I did at least this, because we really support a lot of surgical birth moms, and that's something that is near and dear to my heart, is because I had a surgical delivery. I say I had like all the deliveries and all the birth scenarios in one with my daughter, because I was birthing at home, doing great. Then I, traveled to my birth center, then I needed a transport from my birth center, and then I had labored at the hospital for a while, and almost got close to vaginal delivery, but then ran a fever and epidural fever, and then I had to do emergency C-section. So it was like all the things. And then my daughter had to go to NICU for a little bit, and it's just like, wow. But then because I was already a belly binding practitioner, I at least was able to do my belly binding postpartum, and really feeling how powerful that support was to my healing surgical womb space was like, I had those commercial hospital binders that they give you, and I was just like, like I'm so glad I have this custom fitted garment on me right now, because it felt so much better than anything else. And so even with those who have birthed surgically or have vaginal tearing or had a traumatic experience, to all the way on the other spectrum, like with your second, a very beautiful home birth, or hospital experience that's magical and beautiful, and their, wishes were honored and they felt empowered throughout the whole process. Either way, this is a very powerful ritual to continue that healing and recovery postpartum, and that's why I say it is a postpartum ritual and practice. And speaking to that like sensory reset, and that's part of our 3R method, is you need to reset first. You have to, after you come out on the other side of birthing and become a mother and are postpartum, then there is a resetting period and a settling into your new body, your new role, your new space. And then after you reset a bit, you can step into reclaiming your body. And part of that reclaiming process for us is wrapping yourself and reclaiming your womb space. And then once you've really done the work and the healing through that reclaiming process, then you're going to revive yourself. You're going to step into that transformation and feel like, like I have arrived.
Oh man, yeah, I just, it makes so much sense to me. It's so dreamy and so grounding. You're like, you give birth to this being, and then you're like, where's your care? And it reminds me of even when I was in pregnancy, I had a belly cast. Actually, it was Tasha.
Yes.
She came to do this belly cast. There was this whole ceremony around it, and it was so, I know. I just, it keeps coming. I got to call her sometime. I haven't talked to her in a while.
Shout out to South Bay first.
And so, just putting on this, just doing these things for ourselves, especially postpartum. And I always feel like, I don't know what the medical community, says about postpartum, but I feel like it's almost a year, to be honest. Like, I feel like it goes months and months in. And I was like, what do they say? Did they say 3 months or something? Or am I giving that too many months?
No. So they, American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, they actually have put out.
That's who they is.
Yeah, that's who they is, right? They put out this new standard for postpartum recovery support that it should be ongoing, right? And it shouldn't just be a one-off 6-week visit. So this was in 2010 they said this. It still hasn't really changed much, which is, again, why Belli Binding experience and why we come into the homes in those first 2 to 6 weeks, but they also say that it's 6 weeks to 6 months, but really it's a year, your first year postpartum. Yeah. But again, you're postpartum for life is what I say. You're postpartum for life.
Yeah.
And, you're constantly trying to find a balance. And I've heard a midwife who's said that actually you're not really going to feel like yourself until like 10 years postpartum.
Wow.
And you're like, geez, 10 years? Oh my gosh. But really on the spectrum of things, what I've seen clients as far as when they starting to have more sense of self and starting to find a groove, it's around like 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
So getting close to that year.
Feels right. Yeah, because in the beginning it feels so like, oh gosh, I feel like your blood is changing. There's so much physiological, and you're making milk if you're making milk, and it's like where there's like this, these weeks coming in and getting that care is so absolutely beautiful. And then over the months, still kind of, building that bond, that synergy with baby being, earthside. It's such a different experience on the other side. And then
because babies are constantly
with life.
Changing too.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
babies are constantly changing, and you're changing throughout that 6 months to a year, right? Whether it's if your milk supply is starting to deplete or change and regulate and not be oversupply, to your baby's mental leaps, to your hormonal balance, which I just did a post about this on the hormonal withdrawal symptoms that you experience after birth, which is also AKA baby blues, those first 2 weeks, but can really go beyond those first 2 weeks. Studies have shown that the hormonal withdrawal postpartum, the symptoms are equivalent to what a meth or heroin addict's withdrawal symptoms are. Like, it's very intense. You're getting night sweats. You're getting, you're getting those chills. Your loss of appetite, fatigue, all those things play into it. And, when you go to a drug rehab, you got skilled nursing facilities, you got support to go through all those feelings and emotions and physical symptoms, but postpartum, you're kind of like, all right. If you haven't cultivated that community and support for yourself, the medical institutions haven't really prioritized postpartum support.
I know in other countries they do, I want to say more in Finland and around those areas. I've read articles many moons ago, years ago, about how they offer postpartum care as a natural part of whether you're having a birth center, a midwife. It's just a natural, like, oh, here you go. Like, there's your self-care. And I don't know what the stats are now, but I know it was pretty poor in America, especially with different races and going, what, you just leave a woman or a person and then have nobody? Like, there's no care, there's nothing. And like, and I get it from my first birth. It's like, oh my gosh, my emotional space, it was dark. It was really dark, and I was sitting there. I remember in the rocking chair, like with tears, going, I just got to figure out where can I put my son and just leave? Like I didn't want to kill myself, but I didn't want to live. It was pretty intense. I was like, and then but the good thing was I was like, why am I feeling that way or thinking that way, right? That's the piece.
Right. Yeah, you're able to be self-aware.
I was like,
right.
And I reached out to like a lot of friends, and I can't remember now.
I don't
think I reached out to all my friends were healers and therapists, so I just talked it out a lot with them.
Yeah.
But then I realized really the origin for me was like in postpartum, it's so crucial to not just have, family and friends and people taking care of you is like, oh my gosh, that was the big missing hole. And, but it's to
that
do
you
those
noticed
things.
when you were born.
Oh yeah. Like they're just not having, I need people, when you're postpartum, like you should be bringing those people food. Do they need anything? Do they need anything at the store? Do you need to come in and clean their floor? Like really taking care of each other. And I know in my community, after my first son and what I went through, every time there was a meal train, I was dropping a little baked ziti. It was my to-go dish. I was dropping baked zitis on doors all over Topanga. I wanted people to be nourished with food because that's what I knew I could give. And
yes. And, 40% of women feel alone after birth. That's 40%. And in the U.S., we're still, how we care for postpartum women is like third world status. Like it's horrible. We're ranked like 37th in the world for maternal morbidity and mortality and mood disorders. So it's, it's not great. It's just why practitioners and birth workers like myself are creating these services, and the government is trying to create legislation to like I think it's the Mom Care Act and stuff like that to start prioritizing paid maternity leave and paternity leave and things like that and child care support, but it's still severely lacking. And it does make a difference when you can have the support and the care providers coming in to even just process those scary thoughts, because scary thoughts are normal, especially, again, when you're having those hormone withdrawals. Your mind isn't in its right place, so you're having those mood swings and you're having those dips and lapses in judgment because you just don't have the hormones, the cortisol, to help you cope with the stress that is caring for a newborn. And so until those hormones kind of balance out, if they do, right, that's part of also going and getting your blood work screened and getting your hormone levels checked, which is something I highly encourage everyone do. It may not even balance out, but having someone that you can just talk to, that wise woman connection, and it doesn't have to be a woman, but just connecting and speaking like, I'm feeling this way. It sucks. I don't like what I'm thinking. And I don't actually want to do what I'm thinking, but I'm thinking it still.
Yeah. It's so beautiful, everything you're sharing. So intense, so real. It's very I love how there's this beauty of what we're bringing in here with the belly bind, but there's also the truth of the fear and the depression or even the anxiety that comes up, and how our body's chemistry and how our emotions and even our spiritual awareness all kind of play in. But I'd love to hear, I know we're coming to an end now, and I want to hear, I know you have a book. It's called here, Belly Binding, A Simple Postpartum Ritual to Reclaim Your Body and Heal Your Spirit, which tell us what that book's about. Yeah.
So we're diving deep into a lot of what we talked about here, that creating that postpartum ritual for yourself. And it's centered around belly binding, but we do take it a few layers deeper than belly binding. And we speak about those fears, a lot of the kind of what if I knew, or I wish I knew this before I was postpartum. I wish I knew that I would have this empty feeling in my womb, talking to some of that and helping with reclaiming, giving you some guidance on how to reset yourself into that postpartum place, and using the gift of the bind, of belly binding, as part of that resetting process, that reclaiming process, and then how to step into reviving yourself and restoring that vitality and that sense of self. So, I do speak heavily about belly binding, and we go through a lot of the tips that we do in our Belli Bind experience in home or virtually in the book.
Perfect. And that is on pre-order, so people can order it now on Amazon. And then you said it's available at the end of August, right?
August 30th, it's released, but right now you can pre-order it. And then I'm actually starting a Create Your Postpartum Ritual challenge, a 3-day challenge, and that's actually starting June 25th. So, all those listening today can actually go and check it out on our website. You can sign up and join bellybind.com for that. And I hope to see some of your faces there.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Great. I love that. Well, I want to thank you so much, Princess, for being here and sharing all this great insight, information, sacredness, all wrapped up around the postpartum feeling.
That's like my favorite pun to use. So
I just heard myself say it. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I'm so excited for where you've come and how you've just grown. And again, it's like now you have these two beings in your life and so much more creativity, passion, inspiration. But thank you so much for being here.
I know, and we didn't even get to touch on that, but I will say, like, our spirit baby communication meditation session that you had did way back almost 6 years ago was so powerful. And again, I'm sure, as your community knows, you're very on point. I had my daughter first, which you had said. You're like, what are you sensing? I was like, I feel like it's a girl. You were like, okay, well, I also am seeing a boy around you, but I do feel the girl's going to come first. And I was like, okay. And my girl came first, and then 2 years later, my little boy came. So it was really beautiful. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. I love that you shared that because you have more baby energy around you, but we'll save that for next time.
Thank you. I was wondering.
You do. I was like, I felt that. I was like, oh, what's happening? I'm trying not to be a spy, but we can talk about that. But
I want 5. Yeah. We'll see if my husband can keep up.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for having me and sharing your beautiful community with me. I'm such a fan of yours, long time, and admire everything you're doing. And I'm just so happy that you're on, 100? How many episodes? That's amazing, Kelly.
You're 115. Yeah, I know.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Inspiration for me to start mine.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you again. And I want to thank everyone for joining episode 115, Healing After Childbirth with Belli Binding and a Loving Postpartum Ritual into Motherhood. And as always, like and subscribe, leave reviews. Don't forget, it's a journal, Sacred Communication, a Spirit Baby journal, and my Spirit Baby Oracle cards, Answers from Spirit Baby.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.